Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech. Silence, do good. Pseudonym of Benjamin Franklin. All right. Welcome to another morning episode of the Liberty Dad podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. If you're tuning in live, then I want to especially thank you for giving me your time so early. And you know what? It just feels like I keep running out of time. Either I need to get up a little earlier or maybe push the show back to 7:30. I don't really know. But we're going to figure this out so we can be a little bit more consistent here. So I apologize. Show prep this morning just took a little bit longer than I had expected. At any rate, let's get on with the show. What do I have for you today? Republicans versus free speech here in Florida. Like what? Oh, I think that title's a little bit wrong, but that's okay. Should say Florida Republicans versus free speech, although probably accurate as is. But we're going to talk about specifically talk about Florida this morning, and specifically we're going to talk about this bill, HB1, that you might have heard about, that's going to put a limit, or potentially would put a limit on social media companies. So let's play a media clip here, and let's see what's going on. Let's just kind of get a sense of the bill in general.
A bill that would keep kids under the age of 16 from having and using social media accounts is now heading to the Florida State Senate. The House already passed that bill. The big question is, how would this even be enforced? Fox 35's Marie Ettinger is asking the experts if this can be done.
I talked with two different First Amendment attorneys today. They told me limiting what teenagers can say and where they can say it is a problem. But beyond that, even though this is targeting teens under the age of 16, it actually places the burden on adults. You and me, all of us would have to verify our age. The attorneys told me that can be expensive for the companies to handle. And of course, it's a hassle for you and me. HB1 says if you're under the age of 16, you cannot have a social media account, plain and simple. But two First Amendment attorneys told me today it isn't all that simple.
This law is straight up unconstitutional. It's the type of thing that our founders feared when they created the First Amendment.
HB1 says social media platforms would have to use, quote, reasonable age verification methods to verify the ages of account holders. It says that means any commercially reasonable method regularly used by government agencies or businesses for the purpose of age and identity verification.
The law uses a lot of terms that just aren't defined. They're very vague, and so it makes it very difficult to comply.
So you might have to submit a photo ID, for instance, to prove you're over the age of 16.
That means the annihilation of anonymity online, and that means ID for the internet, something that should terrify every single Florida resident, regardless of political ideology.
Plus,
we all know that even the largest and most secure companies have data breaches.
Utah actually just passed a very similar bill enacting age restrictions, enforcing ID verifications. That was supposed to have already gone into effect, but just got held up because it's facing so many legal challenges. In Seminole County, Marie Ettinger, Fox 35 News.
All right. So that was just to give you a sense of this bill. We're actually going to walk through it kind of briefly because you know that I like to read the bills, which is why I'm not a politician. I like to read them, not just because I want to get a feel for what I think that it says. I mean, after all, these are bills that would be governing me. So therefore, it's my duty to know what I am kind of supporting, even if it's not outwardly supporting. But if I don't raise my voice and complain about something, then it's kind of like tacit support. So I want to know what I'm giving my support to when I don't say something, or more importantly, I want to know exactly why I oppose a bill. So I try to read them. Now, sometimes they get a little tricky. Don't get me wrong. It It can be a challenge to read the bills sometimes because sometimes a bill will modify, different parts of the statute. So you have to go and try to read it. And that's the reason why some of these bills are just so god awful long, right? You might see a bill and it's like 100 pages, and it's probably not 100 pages of just new stuff, although sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just a matter of, they include different elements of the statute or different parts of the statute, and then where they're making a change, maybe an addition or a deletion or a change or something like that, right? So to give you better context of what that change is, then you actually have parts of the code, parts of the statute that are not being modified. So when you see a bill that's like a lot of pages, I mean, if it's 1,000 pages, it's probably ridiculous no matter which way you look at it. But if a bill is like 20 pages, it might actually only be like 2 or 3 pages of actual changes. That doesn't mean it's necessarily good. That's just giving you a sense of what's going on. But I like to read them so I kind of have an idea of, why I don't like them. Because as a rule of thumb, I tend not to like bills. When I do my bill reviews, if you go back, and one of these days I'm going to go back and sit down and just kind of calculate exactly all the bills that I've reviewed and all the bills that I've supported. If I remember correctly, there are out of like some, 30, somewhere around 30, 40 bills that I've reviewed, I think 2 of them I have supported, and the rest of them I've had objection to. Even if I actually didn't oppose the underlying reason for the bill. So sometimes I'll actually support the idea. Like I'll say, hey, you know what? I do think this is a problem. But this bill is not it. And in other cases, I'll say, well, there really is this problem that I see here, but we don't need legislation to address it. So there may be different reasons that I oppose a bill. It's not just like, oh, I'm a libertarian, I hate government, so therefore bill bad, right? Like, no, I go a little bit deeper than that. And that is the purpose of reading the bill, so I can explain to you exactly what my objection is, or in the rare case, what my support is. So let's go ahead and pull up this bill here, and we're going to take a look at it.
A bill that would keep
Oops.
kids under the age of 16
Apologies for
from
that,
having
folks.
and using social
How
media
about
accounts
that?
is now heading
There. How about that? Apologies for that, folks. My producer's not in here to keep me in line, so I don't know what to tell you. All right. Anyway, so what do we got here? So this is the bill. Let's go back all the way to the top here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. This bill is about 10 pages. But I did find some interesting stuff in there. So in the clip, they were kind of going over some of the legal ramifications and saying, pointing out like, hey, in order to limit 16-year-olds, that means everybody has to be verified, because how would, say, Twitter or X know that I'm not 16, that I'm actually a 45-year-old man? How would they know, right? Without verifying my age. So even though, even though the bill is presented as this like thing to protect our children, like, hey, nobody under 16 should be on social media, which I'm not sure is a good idea in the first place. But it would inevitably force everyone to identify themselves, even if they still had an anonymous account. So let's go down here, because I thought some things were interesting about this bill. So I'm gonna start right here where you see the highlight, and this is section 1, and so it says social media use for minors, and then it says section 1, as used in this section, the term. And so it says account holder means a resident of the state. And then it goes down and says department means the Department of Legal Affairs. Then we've got here reasonable age verification means any commercially reasonable method regularly used by government agencies or businesses for the purpose of age and identity verification. In other words, if the government says this is a way to validate your age, then that's what they want, right? And that was highlighted in the clip. But I actually want to go a little bit further, and we're just going to kind of skim down. We're not going to go too deeply into it, but I just want you to notice we start here on line 28, as used in this section, the term, and so then we're defining terms, okay? And the first couple, a couple sentences, no big deal, right? We're cool. Like we've got some simple definitions. We can agree with them. We can disagree with them. But it's let's go on. So social media platform. D. Social media platform means online forum, website, or application offered by an entity that does all of the following. Okay, so then it starts listing all the following. And I'll read a couple of them, but we're not gonna go through all of them. Allows the social media platform to track the activity of the account holder. Now, this one was kind of funny because when you read, we have a definition here, right? Let me make sure this gets highlighted here, okay? So we have this definition, social media platform, and in the definition, it says allows the social media platform to track the activity. So it's like a self-referencing definition, which is absurd. So like already we're only a few lines in, and we've got self-referencing definitions. That's just goofy. All right. So anyway, that doesn't make or break a bill necessarily. I mean, it might in the legal sense, but as far as the average Joe reading it, I don't know that it was going to really make or break a bill. I just thought it was kind of absurd because I'm like, this is what you people do. Like, you people just sit around drafting bills to try to govern us. The least you could do is make it make sense, right? Like, if that's what you think your job is, to craft bills for us, make it make sense. Anyway. Allows a social media platform to track the activity of account holder, allows an account holder to upload content or view the content or activity of other account holders. So you see what it's doing here. It's kind of like defining this idea, like, what is a social media platform? Kind of like, what does it do? All right. Then we get down in here to, the really juicy stuff a little bit. Utilizes addictive, harmful, or deceptive design features. Now, these are not defined, at least not here. And I don't believe that they're clearly defined elsewhere in the statute at all. Like, what does it mean? What is an addictive feature, right? Is it just the fact that I have access to, like, my Twitter account? I have like 4,000 followers, which is not huge, but does that mean that, like, of my 4,000 followers, like, actually, let me put it this way: the 1,000 or so people that I'm following, is it addictive that I have access to their thoughts all day long, right? So I can see 1,000 people's thoughts potentially all day long. And if I was following more people, then maybe I might have more access. What is that? Does that constitute addictive? Is it addictive that if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm just kind of laying there in bed and I'm like, all right, grab my phone and I'm like, all right, let me see what late night Twitter's doing, right? Does that mean it's addictive? Like, what does it mean to be addictive in terms of social media? Harmful, same thing. Deceptive design features. I'm not even sure what to make of that. Okay, so we're kind of defining what a social media platform is. We go down, and then it says, so that was all under, so D1, okay, and then A. Now, I wish they would kind of format these so it made it a little bit more clear, but we got D1A, B, C, D, E, blah, 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 going down. All right, so then we get to 2, right? So now we're at 2 on line 55 here. So does not include an online service, website, or application where the predominant or exclusive function is email, direct messaging of text, photos that are sent between devices, streaming service that provides only licensed media, news, sport, entertainment, or other. So this is where I want to point out, just, just work with me on this one. So they've defined what it is, and then they're saying if it doesn't include these things, right? So if it doesn't include email, now what would that mean? Gmail. So, a 13-year-old could have a Gmail account. So they made an exception for Gmail. Direct messaging consisting of text, photos, or videos that are sent between devices by electronic means where, and they got where spelled wrong, messages are shared between the sender and the recipient only. Okay, so now we've accounted for Messenger. Messenger is a standalone app that allows you to do just that, right? It's visible only to the sender and the recipient, and they're not posted publicly. All right, so we've kind of got this exception for Messenger. And then let's see, a streaming service that provides, let me bring that up a little higher, a streaming service that provides only licensed media in a continuous flow from the service, website, or application to the end user. Okay, so Netflix is kind of an exempt, it's not considered a social media platform. News, sports, entertainment, or other content that is pre-selected by the provider and not user-generated in any chat, comment, or interactive functionality that is provided incidental to, directly related to, or dependent upon provision of the content. So in other words, basically websites that where they have writers who put out material, and then you can just comment on you can say, this was a terrible article, blah blah, right? So they've made a kind of exception for that. I say online shopping or e-commerce. Okay, so Amazon's cool. Let's see, we go down the line. Interactive gaming, virtual gaming, or online service. So stream, that they're okay. Photo editing that has an associated photo hosting service. So Adobe's good. Let's see, a professional creative network for showcasing and discovering artistic content. I know there are sites, and I just cannot, I'm drawn to blank on the name of them, but I know there are websites where you can be like, hey, look, I'm an artist. Here's all my artwork, right? If the content is required to be non-pornographic. Single purpose community groups for public safety, if the interaction with other users or account holders is generally limited to that single purpose. Okay, so Nextdoor, I don't know if anybody's on Nextdoor, but I'm on Nextdoor. And every so often my phone will pop up and people like, did you hear that? Was that gunshots? And then somebody else has to come along and say, no, it's not gunshots. They were fireworks. Okay. So Nextdoor, they're exempt. And there are, there are other apps that, that I'm not naming. I'm just kind of giving you an example here to provide career development opportunities, including professional networking. So LinkedIn, they're cool. Business to business software. I don't have any examples. Teleconferencing or video conferencing service that allows reception and transmission of audio, video signals. So Zoom's cool. Shared document collaboration. All right, Google Docs, we're good with that. Cloud computing services, which include cloud storage and shared documents. So Google Drive, so they're cool. To provide access to or interacting with data visualization platforms, libraries, or hubs. I'm drawing a blank. I know the one I want to. I'm drawing a blank on the one I wanted to say, but to permit comments on a digital news website. They're basically carving out all these crazy exemptions of what does and does not constitute a social media platform. And the problem, the aside from the First Amendment issues here, that aside, just functionally, this bill is terrible because it's trying to define things on the internet that change. It wasn't so long ago that there wasn't much of a definition for social media website or social media content, right? Like we didn't have those kind of definitions once upon a time. And then as we went along, social media platform, then it started to kind of formulate, what does it mean to be a social media platform? Well, we started out with what? What was the one that everybody, MySpace? We started out with MySpace, your top 8, right? And that had a limited amount of functionality, and some of it wasn't even that good. And then, we got Facebook, and then entered Twitter, and not necessarily in this order. Then we got Reddit. And so the idea of what a social media platform has evolved over time, and it still continues to evolve. Twitter didn't used to have it set up where you could monetize your account. It didn't once upon a time have it set up where you could put very long videos on there or very long commentary. Once upon a time, it didn't have that, right? It was much more limited than that a long time ago. So even Twitter, which we all agree is a social media platform, Twitter has evolved over time. The idea of what it means to be a social media platform has evolved. This bill is already 10 pages, and let's just count them. We go from line 38, where we're saying, hey, this is what a social media platform is, and we scroll down. So that was half a page there. Now we've got a full page. Then we've got another full page. Then we've got 3/4 of a page. So from line 38 to line 120, roughly, we are, this bill is trying to define what a social media platform even is. And it's absurd. It is because it's going to change. And then as it changes, this will have to be expanded, larger in scope, and they will have to create more exemptions. What happens to the news service that pops up in 5 years that isn't quite a social media platform, but it's different than the exempted items in here. Well, then they're going to go and have to add that so that 13-year-olds will legally be allowed to use this. This is part of the problem with laws because we we don't have a full definition of what a social media platform is, and they're trying to define it, codify it in law so that they can say if you're 13, you're not allowed to have your own account and be on this website. But if you're 16 or older, then you can, so long as you provide us, proper documentation that we see fit. And so you get 120 lines in, and then they're talking about what a social media platform shall do, right? So they should prohibit a minor who is younger than 16 years of age from entering into a contract with the social media platform to become an account holder, right? So like this is the problem that I have with the bill. Again, First Amendment issues aside, right? And that's definitely a problem, and that should make it a non-starter. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't read the bill so that we see what absurdity, because what absurdities we find in here, we're gonna find in other bills, and we need to be aware of them because you might hear about a bill from a news organization like the video that we just watched, and you might find that based on the reporting, you support a bill. But then you might find if you go read the bill that you don't support the bill because you might say, well, this is absurd. There's all kind of craziness in here in terms of defining stuff. And they clearly aren't ready, just again, on a functional basis. They're not ready to put something into law for this, let alone dealing with the First Amendment. Now, I want to I want to jump. I'm not going to read any more of the bill. I mean, you get the gist of the bill. They're trying to limit, who has access to social media, and I oppose it. Period. Because here's the deal, folks. I have a 5-year-old. He is not on social media. Like he doesn't even know how to read. But he's not on social media. But he does. Well, I guess technically he might be, depending on how they're defining YouTube, right? I allow him to watch some YouTube. I monitor what he watches. In fact, some months ago, 6 months ago, something like that, my wife asked me, she's like, are you always watching him when he's on your tablet? And I said, I always peer over and make sure, I listen to what he's watching, even if I'm not directly sitting there watching it with him. And I will peer over occasionally to make sure that whatever he's found is what I feel is appropriate. And then further, if like sometimes he'll go downstairs to grandma's room and he's watching TV, and grandma's grandma, right? Like, you want some candy? Can I have some candy, grandma? Yeah, of course you can have candy. You can have a snack. You can have this. Like grandma's grandma. She's not going to say no, right? Like that's not even her job. So when he's down with grandma watching TV, he's not being monitored directly. So I will go through the history. And so far, I don't see anything that's not appropriate. In fact, my history, if you look at it, my history is cluttered with Minecraft videos. So, and sometimes I'll watch the videos just to kind of see what, like kind of skim through and be like, all right, what are you watching? Is there anything that I'm missing that I need to know? But I manage my child's social media. That is the job of the parents. It is not the job of legislators to go and say, well, social media platforms that we have to create these really long definitions of what constitutes even a social media platform in the first place. Why it's your job to do the parent's job and it's our job to monitor you. No, it is the parent's job. Is there bad stuff online? Yes, there is. And that is why I monitor and keep tabs on what my child watches, what he has access to. And I will continue to do so until I determine that he has free reign when he's 30. So, this is the core of the issue is that legislators are once again trying to do a job that they don't belong doing. They need to just simply focus on crimes against people, violent crimes. Now, I know they're not going to do that, but that's my argument. My argument is like, hey, you stick to violent crimes. You got enough there, right? Like if you go to pick a city, just pick any city, and you'll probably find that they have a backlog of rape kits. Well, why don't you work on that? Okay. Why don't you work on solving murders and dealing with violent crime? Deal with those kind of things. It is Do not stop making things a crime that should not be. It should not, because what we're doing is we're saying if you're 13 and you access a website, Twitter, like this is what this bill is basically saying. You access Twitter, somebody should be punished. Somebody should be punished for that. That's absurd. What should happen is parents should take care of their kids. That's what should happen. Your damn job. Do your damn job. And then tell other people, mind your damn business. It's not the business of government to determine what I let my son watch. If I want him to watch a PG-13 movie, then I will. If I want him to watch a rated R movie, which I assure you I don't, then I would. PG-13 is pretty limited anyway. But the point being, if I'm deciding what he should and should not watch, and it's funny that Republicans right now are kind of screaming about parental rights. And it's especially funny considering this bill. I got some more stuff to show you. Oh yeah, we're not done yet. All right. So I want to remind you of something. You know, we're in presidential election season right now, right? And there's a lot of disdain for Nikki Haley. So I want to play a clip from Nikki Haley, and then we're going to get into some more. We're going to talk about why Republicans are talking out of both sides of their mouth, at least here in Florida. So let's watch this video clip. Is like 30 seconds or so.
We need our social media companies to verify everybody so that we can get all of those.
Well, you're not really
content.
saying that people can't tweet anonymous. I mean, but that's bad enough because you see what it's doing to our kids and bullying and everything else.
Do I think life would be more civil if we were able to do
Right.
that? Yes. It's the same reason why I think doxing, like, you know, you should stand by what you say. But no, like if you can have anonymous, I don't mind anonymous American people having free speech.
Okay.
What I don't like is anonymous Russians and China and Chinese and Iranians having free speech.
How would the conversation?
Interesting. All right. So Nikki Haley, who's still running for president, I haven't heard any word that she's dropped out. She's okay with anonymous accounts here in the United States, but she's not okay with anonymous accounts in some other country. And she's all about some verifications. So I guess my first question, the biggest question, the elephant in the room is, well, what happens when we think that somebody over here might be a terrorist or linked to terrorist activities? Are you suddenly, do you retain that support for Americans who have anonymity? Oh, probably not, because she's claiming this is a national security issue. So she wants to effectively, whether she will admit it or not, make everybody not anonymous online. That's going to be what ends up happening. Government, you give them an inch, they take 10 miles, not 1, 10. They might take a few years to do it, but they do. All right. So what does this have to do with Florida Republicans? Well, as it turns out, this bill, you know, there was kind of some misinformation a little bit online. Some people were posting, they were like, oh, Florida hasn't banned anything yet. What happened is that the House has passed it and they sent it on to the Senate. So what I want to do is I want to show you the makeup of the Florida Senate and the Florida House really, really quickly, because then I'm going to tell you about who voted for it, right, in the House. So let's take a
We
look.
need
Whoops.
our social media companies
Goodness.
to verify.
All right, there we go. So in Florida, in the which one's which here? Yeah, in the House is the one on the right. I apologize, I don't have descriptions there. The House is the one on the right. The Democratic Party has 36 members, while the Republican Party has 84 members. And then in the Senate, the Democratic Party has 12 members, whereas the Republican Party has 28 members, for a total of 40 and 20. So the votes on this, which occurred on January 24th in the House, were 106 yays to 13 nays. This is in the House, which is dominated by the Republican Party. So 84 members of the House are Republican, and 106 people in the House voted for this bill. They voted yay. So now the question is, well, maybe there were some Republicans, maybe there were some good ones, right? Nope, not one. Let me show you a picture of all 13. So there was 106 I think there's one abstain. So there was 106 people that voted yay. 106 members voted yay. 13 members voted um, voted against it. So let me show you those 13 members. Every single one of them was a Democrat. Every single one. In Florida's House, every single Republican member of the House voted in support of this bill. Every single one of them. And then out of 36 Democrats, only 13 were willing to say no. I find that kind of interesting. So let me see here. Bring this up a little bit bigger for me here. So we have, and I'm just going to name them really quickly here. We've got Daryl Campbell out of District 99, Levon Davis, District 40, Anna Eskamani out of District 42. By the way, let me tell you, I follow Eskamani online. Now, I don't agree with a lot of things that she says, but I gave her kudos a while back because she links to bills. She criticizes bills all the time. I sometimes agree, sometimes I don't agree. In this particular case, obviously we agree. I don't know if we agree for the same reasons, but I'm going to give her a great kudos because I follow her and she frequently is linking to bills, because it irks me when a news media talks about a bill, or when a representative member, one of our representatives is talking about a bill, and then they can't even link us to it, right? Like, I want to know what the bill, and I want to see if I agree with you. So kudos to you, Anna Eskamani, on at least doing that much, even if we disagree on many other things. Ashley Gant, District 109, Michael Gottlieb, literally the only white man, District 102. Then let's see, Jennifer Harris, the only white woman, District 44. Diane Hart, District 63, Dottie Joseph, District 108, Johanna Lopez, District 43, Angie Nixon, District 13, Felicia Robinson, District 104, Hawkins Williams, District 98, and then lastly, Marie Woodson from District 105. So these are the 13 people who voted against this bill in the House, while 106 voted yay. And then you had one person who is either abstained. I'm not really sure I'm not sure if they were not present or abstained. But these are the people that voted against a bill that would require Floridians to, or require social media companies to get information on who, identification from Floridians who want to be on social media sites, and would restrict people under 16 from accessing them. These 13 people. Now, is anybody else curious here? There are a lot of women in this group. There are literally 2 men. And I'm kind of surprised. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of surprised, because I would think that a bill that is presented as, hey, we're going to protect our children from online bullies and all these other things, and we're going to save the day with this legislation. I would think that maybe it would be more men, right? Like, that more women would be in support of it, right? When we talk about the nature, nurture, and all that. So I'm a little surprised. And while it's not really a surprise per se that most everyone, with the exception of 2 people, are people of color, I'm kind of curious what it is about the bill. Like, what's I'm trying to think of how to phrase this so that it makes sense. I'm not worried about saying the wrong thing, but I'm just curious why it is that people of color were opposed to this bill more so, than, there were more numbers of people of color opposed to the bill than there were white people. And I don't know the demographic makeup of the House itself. So I can tell you what the party makeup is, right? But I don't know what the demographic makeup is. But I just find this interesting, and I like, if anybody has any thoughts that are reasonable. Don't give me some garbage. But if you have some thoughts like what it is, then let me know. Maybe these just happen to be people that tend to oppose the bills. I don't know. Maybe they just don't like it because it's a Republican bill. I don't know. It could be any number of things. But I just thought it was interesting when you're taking a look at this because, when we talk about proportionality, like we're having like Mark Cuban's over here trying to defend himself to the hilt about why he uses race at some point in the hiring process. Why we're having this DEI conversation about representation. I just find that there was an interesting representation of people who voted against this bill. So that's what I have to show you today, folks. I just thought this was very interesting. House Bill 1. This is let's see what's the informal title. It's House Bill 1. I thought I had the name of it here, but it's an act relating to social media use for minors. I think it has a more specific name somewhere, and I just don't have it readily available. I guess you can just call it social media use for minors. I don't know if that's the official, unofficial name of the bill, but it's House Bill 1 for the year 2024. It is a god awful bill. Everybody should oppose this bill, regardless. Like the gentleman said in the video, it doesn't matter what political stripe you are. You should absolutely oppose this bill because, number one, it is an encroachment, a big encroachment on freedom of speech. Government has no business telling a 13-year-old where they can talk. Okay, like like where they can interact with other people. That's absurd. Okay. That is, and it is the job of parents. And if Republicans want to hang on to this idea of we're saving the parents, I mean, we're right now in the middle of the so-called book ban here in Florida. And you've got like Moms for Liberty, which is here in Florida. And we've talked a lot about parental rights, parental bill of rights and all this stuff and parents' rights and all that. And then Republicans are going to pass this in the House. And I would assume since every single one of them in the House, what was the number of that again? Let's see. All 84 Republicans in the House have supported this bill. Then I'm going to assume that all 28 members of the Senate will, and as would our governor. That's my assumption. I mean, because we didn't even get one out of 84 who opposed this bill. Every single one of them voted for it. So, like, seriously, like you're killing me, Republicans, with this doublespeak. You're talking about you're about parent rights, but then you're going to come along and you're going to limit my right as a parent to determine what my child has access to. But then you're going to tell me that you're the party of parent rights. No, you're not. And at this point, you're not even the party of freedom of speech, because then you're going to require me to give identification to all the sites that I want to access, right? And I like, look, I'm out there. This is my real face. This is me. I've got my name attached to it, but I respect the fact that other people may not want to for one reason or another. And it's none of your damn business what that reason is. So no, I oppose this bill. Every good American should oppose this bill. I can almost guarantee you that every libertarian will oppose this bill. I can't think of a single libertarian that I know that would support this bill. Can't think of one. Pretty sure, we can dissent from time to time and we object with each other and, have disagreements. Pretty sure we're not going to find a single one that would support this bill. Not a single libertarian. All right. Let's see if we got any comments here that I need to address before I head on out. Let's see what we got here. Good point, D. That libertarian lady. Kids will now get fake IDs so they can get verified for social media. How about that? You didn't think about that, did you, Republicans? I mean, that's what kids do to get alcohol. That's what they used to do to get cigarettes, or they would just have a friend do it, right? Or they'll just be like, "Hey, man, can you sign up on this account and then give it to me?" They'll have their friend, like 13-year-olds. They know 18-year-olds, right? They'll have their older brother who's 18 sign up for them. And then the Republicans want to punish who? They're going to punish the 18-year-old for being an 18-year-old, right? Like 18-year-olds probably shouldn't do certain things for 13-year-olds, but I can understand, like if I was 18 And my younger sister, who would have been 12 at the time, right? If she wanted a social media account, um, I would. The only thing that would stop me was if thought I would get in trouble with my parents, right? Like that would have been the deal breaker. It wouldn't have been the law. I would have been like, whatever, we'll do what we want, little sis, right? So like there will be ways around this. And so you won't have solved the problem whatsoever, but you will have restricted the rights of parents. All right, let's see. I think that's it for my show today, folks. I want to thank you so much for watching. Hope you found this episode informative and inspiring. Be sure to catch me weekdays, 7 a.m. Eastern. Sometimes I'm a little late. I do apologize, but 7 a.m. Eastern for an informed discussion on politics and culture. And then again, join me Sundays at 7 p.m. with my co-host, Susan Hogarth. We are going to look across the vastness of tyranny that is this United States, and we bring to you what is happening in the Libertarian Party. What events are out there that you can be excited about or replicate in your own neighborhood, your own affiliates. Make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, or if you'd rather, my Rumble channel. You can go to youtube.libertydad.com. You can go to rumble.libertydad.com and you can subscribe there. Let me know how I'm doing by leaving a comment. I do read them. And lastly, I want you to remember, if you are a champion of liberty, your business is people and your product is liberty. I want you to have a great week. Catch you next time. For now,